What are people concerned with? Because I read your speech to the Mainland Regional Conference, right? This is the Sunday before the budget.
Yep.
So it's what, 5 or 6 days before budget day. You did not use the word jobs once, you used the word housing once, you used the word budget once at the beginning of budget week, but you used the word Māori 41 times. And I just wonder what the hell you're playing
This is a citizenship issue in terms of how we have mana enhancing debates and discussion about issues of very fundamental importance to this country, particularly as it begins to diversify and recognise Te issues and rights.
Well, it's really important that we understand what the government is doing and that they have a conversation with New Zealanders about this very important issue around water, and particularly in the South Island, where they're obviously undertaking discussions right now between mayors and iwi. This is really important for our economy. It's also important for our environment and our future.
Sorry to interrupt, but you raised this yesterday. So you had one question in Parliament again, 2 or 3 days before the budget, and you made it about Ngāi Tahu. And you were wrong, in fact.
Well, I'm not wrong, am I? Because Ngāi Tahu came out and said the document got...
But that's not government policy.
But actually, it was presented by the Department of Internal Affairs to the iwi and to the mayors. So, yes, the other day, Ngāi Tahu said it wasn't their document. Yesterday, the Prime Minister said it was Ngāi Tahu's document. The fact is that we need to know what is meant by co-governance or co-ownership and what it is that's going on. So it's right to ask these questions. It's hard to ask these questions, John. We have to ask them.
I think we need to have a discussion about many things, but I don't think you're finding it hard at all. I mean, this seems to me to be you disguising the politics of desperation as some more important discussion, and I don't think that's what you're having. Aren't you? I mean, who are you after here? Whose votes are you
I'm
after?
Pākehā. So, we've had our hegemony for a very long time. It feels very uncomfortable to be challenged in certain ways and to feel that somehow we are not going to be able to maintain our hegemony. Sorry, perhaps this is a better word, but our hegemony.
But if I look down at the rest of your top 10, seven of them were in Simon Bridges' top 10, and given that you weren't. So it's steady as she goes, really. And then the question that was raised yesterday, you have to go to number 13 to find the first Māori in your shadow cabinet. And if we look at the kind of positioning of your cabinet of the top 10, six of your front bench voted against marriage equality, 6 of your front bench voted against abortion law reform. This is a fairly cautious, conservative, white National Party front bench, isn't it?
Well, that's your view.
It's Wednesday the 2nd of April and it must be election year.
Excuse me, Peter, what are your concerns about the latest immigration statistics?
Oh, they're horrible. That is Peter Brown, New Zealand First's deputy leader, commenting on population projections out today, which estimate that by 2026 there'll be 3.4 million New Zealanders in the European or other category, 820,000 in the Māori category, 790,000 in the Asian category, and 480,000 in the Pacific category. Horrible, said Mr. Brown, who put out a statement about Asian immigration saying, and I quote, "They will form their own mini-societies to the detriment of integration, and that will lead to division, friction and resentment." Peter Brown joins us live from our Wellington studio now. Welcome to the program, Mr. Brown. Did you run the statement by Winston Peters before you put it out?
No, I didn't. I stuck to New Zealand First policy.
Right, so wait a minute. Your boss is the Minister of Immigration. Over half the world's population, in fact, roughly 2/3 of the world's population are Asian. Sorry, Minister of Foreign Affairs. You didn't run this past him before you put it out?
No, he was tied up. He's a pretty busy man.
He was tied up. You couldn't read a press statement to him over the phone.
The next question really touches on a little bit of that in terms of, and it's about Auckland, and Auckland it says is lauded as a diverse city in terms of where citizens and suburbs are anything but diverse. And it's really a question was around the an observation in terms of the relationship between tolerance and diversity in a city that's trumped as being super diverse, but actually the question is saying that actually that people are living in isolation, but they're cheek by jowl in that sense.
Yeah. I think Auckland's a very divided city in those terms, so socioeconomically and culturally. So I agree with that.
Do you celebrate Christmas?
Of course I celebrate Christmas.
Do you say Merry Christmas to your children on Christmas Day and have a tree and do all that stuff?
Yeah, we do all of that, and we just like most New Zealanders do, actually. But
equally, part of being a cosmopolitan 21st century country is the understanding that actually Christmas doesn't mean terribly much at all to some people, right?
No, we need to understand that, and I just didn't think there was anything at all offensive.
But we're going to head back to the United States now on the death of George Floyd, who was unarmed and handcuffed and posed no threat whatsoever to his arresting officers, and everything that has followed in the days since. This shouldn't be normal, Barack Obama said. What a sentence that is, and how telling that he should even have to say it. Of course, this shouldn't be normal. But, and this was President Obama's point, it has a terrible normalcy. And throughout America, as people took to the streets to insist on a new and better normal, it felt as if a dam was bursting, grief and rage and exhaustion everywhere. It's our real privilege this morning to welcome from the United States a person who knows what a difference speaking up can make. April Rain is the woman whose hashtag #OscarsSoWhite started a movement that shamed the Motion Picture Academy into acknowledging, then addressing its striking lack of diversity, and shone a light on the lack of genuine representation in Hollywood and beyond. April Rain's background is as a lawyer, but since Oscars So White, she's been hugely sought after as a whistleblower, a commentator, a public and academic speaker, and an expert witness in the prosecution of American racism. April, we are so grateful to have you with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a treat to talk to you. Tell me about George Floyd and what has happened. I want to ask you about some of the images we saw from the groundswell protests that, people were offended by them. And I think there was reputational damage because of them. So this one, a darn mad cow. Jacinda is a communist bitch. Black Utes matter. And this one, we live in New Zealand, not Aotearoa, stop ramming Māori language down our throat, which is just basically racist horseshit, right?
I don't believe there's any true objectivity in journalism. Everybody is biased to an extent by their background, by their education, by their own personal beliefs. The hardest thing to do as a journalist is to try and remain as objective as you can be. John Campbell, is quite happy to talk about his own subjectivity when it gets into stories and where, how he has particular ideas and attitudes. And I mean, John's to the left of the Labour Party politically and makes no bones about it, saying that. And I think that's good. I think you need to know where, and particularly political journalists, where they're coming from, what they stand for, what they believe in. And I think, you can see now on television, though, it would be almost impossible to guess how Duncan Garner voted or how Guy and Espinen voted. And that's a bit of a shame. I don't know whether they've got political principles or not, but if they had some, it'd be nice to hear them occasionally to know what's affecting the way they do the news.